Hello. Hello. Well, what a good day. What a good day. From beginning to middle to end, it was a good day. And I'm in a good mood. You know. So, what am I going to share right now? Well, I'm grateful I'm not in active addiction. One of the reasons I like to go to meetings is because sometimes in those meetings, it reminds me of where I used to be, which wasn't too long ago, you know. I have a lot of people that care about me right now that are rooting for me, and you know, I have people that count on me right now, and I can't imagine, you know, I thought of this today, you know, this scenario of how am I going to get my next bag, what am I doing to get it, who am I surrounded with, and what are they making me do? What do I owe people? And what would I do to others that cared about me or I care about to get it? See, I don't have to live like that today. I don't have to live like that today. The alternative, I don't even want to know what that's like. And luckily, I never had to live that way. But for anybody who has to live that way, my heart goes out to you. It goes out to you. So every morning I pray for the still suffering addict out there struggling. May they find their way. And I'm reminded when I come across people that are in that world that I was, well, one, I wasn't as bad as I thought I was. It says in the literature, we weren't as bad as we thought we were, and we weren't as good as we thought we were either. And it's funny, it's interesting, not funny, it's interesting to me that as I stay in this program long enough, that the literature speaks the truth. That it speaks the truth. That for some of us, degradation, for some of us, guilt and shame, and for some of us, we had to use. And, you know, I think about these last couple of months for me. You know, I've been able to help people, and by doing that, and by being kind, and by trusting in a power greater than myself, I was able to get everything back in other ways. You know, the job that I do provides that for me. You know, and in the last couple of days, you know, I'm a numbers guy, and it's amazing how, if I were to do the math, it all came back in the last couple of days, like to the penny. And it was as if my higher power showed me that my act of kindness was no waste. Luckily, in these last couple of days, I was able to experience what I experienced and work through it positively. So I'm truly grateful today. Truly grateful. If anything, it's giving me a stronger connection to my higher power, a more conscious contact with my higher power. Plus, because I have clarity and I can think smart, like I can think clearly, I'm able to see things better than I would have if I was in my active addiction. I'm able to, well, I'll give you an example. I do TikTok videos, and every once in a while, somebody might reach out. I can tell the difference between a ChatGPT response and an actual authentic response. I can also tell the difference when it's a trying response. And here's my advice to anybody, and thank God I haven't had to fall under this, but here's my advice to anybody who gets somebody that might reach out to them, might be a bot, might not. No matter how kind or how good or whatever they seem, they'll be sending out no money. Unless you know. You know? And thank God I didn't lose anything. And thank God I didn't do that. You know, I had somebody reach out to me today, and it was all that, all of the above of that, you know, these ChatGPT. Like, you could tell, like, we have AI at work, so I can tell, because I've tried it, and I can say, wow, that's really, really wordy, and it's really, really expressive, and it's better than most humans talk. And luckily I could catch that, so when I was asked for money, I could say, hey man, sorry, I'm in no position to be doing that. I'm proud of myself for being able to see that. So that's that. I'm able to be smart enough to know if I'm about to be swindled or not. And I'm also smart enough to know when I'm not. So now I can take this season of my life that has happened recently, and I can look at the positive things in it and say, you were kind, and you did the best you could, buddy. And as of today, I am not in any pain from it all. And thank God I have the right tools and the right support system to have gotten me through these last couple of days, you know. And now I can just have compassion and stick to boundaries and all that stuff, and I'm good with that. So it was an interesting experience, and it sucked how it ended, but I'm grateful for the way I got through it, and that it is over now. And you know, I put all my shit on here. There's gonna be somebody one day who's gonna watch this shit, and they're gonna say, damn, I'm experiencing that right fucking now. And this is how this dude's getting through it. So maybe I can get through it. You don't have to do what I did. As a matter of fact, we do it in our own way. It's like when I work, you know, if I copy some other person and I try to do what they're doing, it's not authentic. You know, I tell people this all the time. You got to come in with your personality, and you got to make it your own. You know, otherwise you sound scripted. And it took me a long time. You know, what I want to say here is I want to give myself some kudos. I got into the car business, my first day in the car business was March 28th, 2010. I started at the dealership I'm at now. You know, and all this madness that I've had over the last couple of days, I didn't really get to acknowledge that. I let all this shit consume me, and that was yesterday. You know, and, you know, there was a period of time where I left, and then I'd come back, and I was let go, and I'd come back. And, you know, for those of you who know me and have known me for, you know, 15 years at this point, there's a couple. There's a couple of you. You got to watch all the ups and downs with me and all my trials and tribulations, from my mom dying to my drugs to the toxic relationships to my divorce to all of that. And yet I still stand. And I'm in a better place than I've been ever today, with 6 months, 29 days. 6 months, 29 days. It's a big deal to me. May not be a big deal to some of you. It might be a big deal to somebody watching this with only a few days and they can't figure out how to get clean or stay clean. It's a big fucking deal. For some people, they can't even get fucking an hour clean. They can't even get a couple minutes clean. For some people, if they're watching this right now, they're fucking loaded. And they don't know how they're not going to get loaded tomorrow. And I can tell you this. There's a time I felt like that. And it wasn't in the last year. And it wasn't in the last 2 years. But there was a time. Fuck, man. Back in 2017. In 2017, I had a problem with methamphetamines and I had a problem with heroin. I didn't think I could get rid of the heroin thing, man. Like, I did not think, like it hurt if I didn't use. It physically hurt if I didn't use, and I had to use at a certain time. So I had to, you know, and I'm putting this out here, and I know my family watches this, so I'm going to share something that, you know, normally I don't share the details, but, you know, I usually share the message, and now I'm going to share some of the mess. I feel like I can do that. I could not use. And I made this decision that I would quit. And I didn't have a program then. And I decided to stop using heroin. And so I called in, and everybody knew I had some kind of issue going on. I called in, and I took about a 4-day vacation, and then I had my 2 days off, and I just quit cold turkey. And let me tell you, man, that was fucking brutal. What is it? 6-7 years later, I can remember right now how it felt to not pick up. And the person I was with at that time, they were watching me do this as they were trying to figure out if they could do it. And they were watching the pain. And I made a point that I would not pick up, so I could show them that I won't do it. And I did it all on my own. And I got to day 4, and I don't know what the shit is like out there right now. The fentanyl, from what I hear, it is way worse than that shit that I was doing. But I got to day 4, and then I've never looked back on that since. And I've never taken any pain pills or any of that stuff. So yeah, I sit here with 6 months, 29 days, and I'm free from one other thing. But I ended that on my own. Like, it was massive. I can't explain it. The only way I can explain it is if, you know, like, there's a movie called Pet Sematary, and she's talking about her sister. The way she's laying in bed is how I felt. So if you've watched that movie, that's how I felt. And I got through it. But, you know, I drank, and I smoked pot, and I did the other shit that I'm doing, or did. And never could really break all that other stuff until 2020. And in 2020, I remember calling my father, and I was going into treatment. And this time, you know, I'm fast forwarding a lot. And this time, you know, I call my dad, and I tell him, man, I think somebody's in the couch. And, you know, my poor dad, my poor father, like, how do you know, if you've only had a couple Coronas every couple of years, how the hell do you talk your son out of that? I love him for this, you know. He said, son, there's nobody in the couch, and I love you. You just gotta just get through it. You'll make it into that place. You know, that was my second time into a place. In doing that, I was able to obtain 2 years, 3 months, and 3 weeks coming out of there. And I worked the program, and I stayed in a toxic relationship, and my house was metaphorically on fire, and there was just chaos everywhere, and I just had all these suspicions and all of these worries and all of these, and I got through it. I wrote through it. I wrote, I journaled through it on my phone, and I was able to write my first 12 months every day, sometimes 3 times a day. Sometimes I'd wake up at 2 a.m. and fucking have this terrible dream, and I'd write about it. Other times I'd have a fight with somebody, and I'd go to the park and I'd write about it. And it's all time stamped, and I'm going to print all that, hopefully, unless somehow that doesn't get printed. But whatever. I'd like to believe I can do that, and it's going to come out. And then I'd like to give that to these treatment centers. Maybe they can read about how to stay in a toxic relationship and get a year clean. I don't know. But I got, 2 years, 3 months, and 3 weeks. And I still would go into these meetings and I would share, the literature. I'm really good at memorizing information and then spitting it out like I know what the fuck I'm doing. I'm really good at talking a good talk, Until one day, somebody reaches out to me and they tell me they're struggling. And I talk the good talk, but I don't share that with my sponsor. I don't share it with anybody. I don't let anybody know. I don't realize why I'm not doing that. I just try to help them, and they can't get help. And I think to myself, man, I hope he does okay. And that's that. And then a year and 3 months and 3 weeks later, after obsessing over it, talking about it, and not sharing about any of this, just going into meetings, yep, I got another day clean, I'm over 2 years, I'm fucking doing well, everything is good. No, it's not. None of it's good. I'm miserable. Fucking miserable. I'm in a relationship, my house there's no control, my finances are out of control, everything. Talk to my sponsor, he's telling me, man, this doesn't look good. And I'm like, man, I got this under control. No advisement at all am I taking. And ultimately, the only thing that sounded good at that point was giving up that time. We don't give up our time, we change our date. I learned that. But how I feel today, right now, doing the things I'm supposed to do, sharing the reality in meetings, like I shared everything in my home group for the most part. I never blow somebody's anonymity. I don't. And I don't even point to the direction of what that person is or who that is. All they know is I'm struggling with a certain person, because I believe in the sanctity of that. We don't share other people. We talk about what we got going on, and we hint, because anonymity is the spiritual foundation of all of our traditions, ever reminding us to place principles before personalities. Anonymity. I don't want people sharing about me. They're going to, but I'm not going to. I trust in that my sponsor has never shared a fucking thing like this shit that I'm sharing right here for the fucking world to see. He knows all this. He knows all this, but he's probably never even told anybody close to him. And I'm putting it out here because the bottom line is this: if I'm going to do these things, and I want somebody to get help, and I want somebody to watch how they're getting through it, I want somebody to know that even if you've got a little bit of time and you don't think you could ever get back to it, you can. You can fucking get back to it. You can fucking make it. Watch your people, places, and things. Surround yourself around people that are not getting loaded. Make those fucking meetings. Don't blame others for when you're getting loaded. And if it's bothering you, share about it. Like, for real. And let the people that's got some time under their belt guide you. Let them tell you, hey, don't do this. And then don't do it. Associate with only people not using. It's right there in the literature, in the Just for Today. You focus on your recovery, how that looks. You don't associate with anybody that's using. And you make these meetings, and in between the meetings, don't get loaded. I have picked up a lot of white tags, and I've gone to a lot of meetings where I should have picked up a white tag and I didn't. So the reality is I should have picked up a lot more than I had. Enough to build a fucking house. Well, maybe not a house, but definitely like, you know, the shed. All the meetings that I showed up, yeah, fuck yeah, man. All the meetings that I showed up and didn't say that I'm, you know, clean 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. That white tag, that surrender tag doesn't have to be 1 day clean. It can be like, I'm ready to fucking stop. I got a couple days clean and I want to start now. Pick up a tag. You don't need to, it's not a 24-hour tag. It's an under 30 days tag. So the bottom line is this. I'm sharing this because this is what I do. This is how I get through my recovery. Because I feel my story is there for somebody, anybody who doesn't know how to like stop. You're eating too much, you're watching too much pornography, you're watching too much Netflix, you're on your phone way too much, any of that shit where you obsess and it's making your life unmanageable. You might have what I have. You might not have done dope, but you might be having what I have. And I'm not saying you have to go to a meeting for Netflix. That sounds stupid. But what I'm saying is this. My name is Rodney, and I'm an addict who used to use drugs, who will always be an addict. And what that means is I obsess over more. I want more of the relationship. I want more of the food. I want more of the gym. I want more of your time. I want more of your love. I want more. I suffer from a disease of more. And if I don't work a program that lets me acknowledge my bad behaviors so I don't keep obsessing over more, then eventually I'm going to go back out and get loaded. You might not be that person, but maybe you can relate with what I just said now. It's never enough for me. It's never enough. So this is one of the longer ones because I had to experience something that I had to deal with, and I was in such a good headspace, I believe, that I was able to deal with it accordingly. You know, and I don't have to sit here and wonder anything. I know. I know where I'm at. I know what I need to do. And I give myself some grace because I'm working so hard to get to a place that I believe is the right place. And so today I can appreciate the sun. I can appreciate nature. I can appreciate all the things I have that I've obtained over these couple of years by staying clean and doing the right thing. And I can also acknowledge that I still and will always have a lot of work to do. But yet I can look myself in the mirror and love myself now. And it took me my whole life to be able to do that. I couldn't do it when I was a kid. I couldn't do it growing up. I couldn't do it in my marriage. I couldn't do it in the last relationship, but I can do that shit today. And I don't even have the time I had then. Because I truly do love myself. And the reason I can say I love myself is because I take care of myself now, like I would a sick loved one. And I have the ability to take care of others to the best of my ability. So, if you're wondering if you can get to a place where you love yourself, you can. But you gotta first avoid people, places, and things. Change your environment and do whatever it takes to get into those rooms. You do that, then the people that have bothered you for so long won't bother you anymore. They ain't trying to go in the rooms with you. And nobody owns anybody. Nobody owns anybody. I love you. And if you don't know me, come meet me and I'll prove it to you.